Awesome. So we are live and I see the audience is trickling in. There were already 20 odd people in the waiting room when we went live. I just want to give our attendees a chance to connect as well. In fact, I see a lot of the attendees are seed candidates who have got admitted to various B schools or various universities in the US this year. I saw Mokshit, who I know is going to Emory. He's going to ASU Cary. I know others, who are going to various schools in the US. So I see all of them joining this program, joining this webinar as well. So welcome everyone. I do want to give our attendees a few minutes to join. I know Zoom takes a minute to connect. So those of you who are already in this room right now, I want to request you to introduce yourself very briefly. Tell us the school that you have gotten admit to. I hope most of you have got admits to USB schools or US universities. If that's the case, let us know the university and the program that you're joining this year. I have turned on chat access for everyone. So if the attendees, if you're able to hear me loud and clearly, through the chat, let us know the university or the program that you're going to this year. Okay, I don't see. Okay, now, okay, attendees should be able to chat with everyone. Let's see. Okay, I see Naz here who's dialed in from Pakistan. Naz, have you gotten admitted to a US university this year? So anyone who's in this room, this is also an audio check for me. I want to make sure all of you are able to hear me clearly. In case you are able to, let us know the university or the program that you have been admitted to. So I see Sangeeta, who's got an admit to Columbia University's Climate School for a MS in Climate Science. Congratulations over there. I see Gloria from Ghana, who's not got an admission yet, but is looking for information. I see Sana, who shared her LinkedIn profile straight away. Okay. I see Mokshit, who's got an admit to ASU MS program. Mokshit, good to be seeing you in this session. I know we have spoken a couple of times. I see someone who's, Monday, who's dialed in from Nigeria, who's got an admit to George Washington University. Great. So thank you. Keep those responses coming in. I know our panelists are keen to know who are attending this particular session, and so am I. While this happens, let me do our brief introductions as well. My name is Sanjay Dhingra. I'm one of the co-founders and the chief operating officer at Seed Global Education. Those of you who don't know of us, we are an organization which specializes in facilitating interactions between top aspirants like yourself with top universities around the world. We work with some of the marquee names in US universities. We work with UC Berkeley, NYU Tandon, Columbia Engineering, Boston University, George Washington University, Emory University's Gazzetta School of Business, Duke University's Fuqua School of Business as well, WPI, St. John's University, UC Davis, UC Irvine, Texas McCombs. I can go on and on with those names, but broadly the top 50 to 70 universities in the US, we work with either their business school or the engineering schools, or in some cases also their public policy programs and schools as well. Today's panelist is extremely eclectic. I have three very impressive panelists in front of me. Let me do their brief introductions. I have Ankit Vora, who's a current MBA candidate at the Wharton School. So UPenn's Wharton School is world famous. It's amongst the top 5 business schools in the world. And of course, it's topped various rankings multiple times as well. So Ankit is one of our panelists who we'll talk to and understand from him his journey from working in India to being at Wharton now and the challenges or the learnings that he has through this process to share with you. I also have Priyank Mehta, who's the Chief Business Officer at EduMate. EduMate is an organization which specializes in funding opportunities or opening doors for funding to candidates like yourself who have got admitted to top universities around the world. I also have Meenal Damani, who is an Ivy League specialist. So she specializes in making or helping candidates make their applications to top B schools, especially in the US, but of course also around the world. She is herself an MIT Sloan alumni as well. So we'll talk to all three of them very shortly. But first, what I want to do for our audience who have dialed in so far is to run our first poll for the evening. And the poll is going to go live on the screen right now. And our attendees, if you're able to see this poll on the screen, the question is, what is the most important factor in your decision to study in the US as an international student? I'm assuming most of you, since this is a session focused on studying in the US, you have either already applied to universities in the US or got admits from a few of them. And what is the most important factor that decides why you would go and study in the US as an international student? Is it access to top-ranked universities and academic programs? Of course, we know US universities are well reputed around the world. Is it opportunities for career growth and networking? exposure to diverse cultures and global experience that you can get from your studies, opportunity to work in the US after graduation, if that's your goal, and learning from world-class faculty and industry leaders is another option as well. Or finally, if all of these have played a role, if neither one of these is a decision-making factor for you, then all of the above is the last option to choose. I will keep this poll live for another few seconds. So if you haven't responded, please do. And post that, we'll kickstart into our session. All right. So I see the responses have come in. Most of the attendees have responded. I am going to end the poll and share the results quickly. Uh, if you're able to see the results on the screen now, for almost 42% of the candidates, it's the opportunity for growth, career growth and networking that US universities open up, followed by access to top universities and academic programs, and so on and so forth. And for 58% of the candidates, all of these factors played a significant role, and neither one of them was a deciding factor for them. With that, let's kickstart the session. What I want to do first, right, is to invite Aditya to share with us his journey from India to studying at Wharton. Aditya, through this journey, if you can briefly talk about, of course, what was your background, but also touch upon what made you choose the Wharton School or US as your destination. And once you got the admit, what challenges that you had to work around for financing and visa, which are two important factors that we are looking to cover in this particular session. With that, over to you, Aditya.
Thanks, Sanjay. My name is Aditya, and I am a first-year MBA candidate at the Wharton School, which is a part of UPenn. As part of my background, I studied chartered accountancy, which is the CPA equivalent course in India, and also have a bachelor's in accounting from the HR college, which is affiliated with the Mumbai University. Right after graduation, I worked in EY in the investment banking team. And after a couple of years there, I joined the Carlyle Group, which is a private equity fund based out of the USA. And I joined them as a pre-MBA analyst in a tenured role, after which I spent a year in one of the companies owned by the fund in an operations role as chief of staff. All along, the idea was to understand best practices from the USA and learn from industry leaders and professors that you have heard of in academic research and books, and also network with very diverse peers who have had similar career paths but are doing different things all over the world. So that is what made me choose the USA. In terms of why Wharton, I think I was very clear about being at a school that allowed me to tailor my own path versus having something very rigid laid out for me and having me to follow it. At Wharton, because of the kind of exposure you are provided with or the options you are provided with to pursue various paths, um, you and the person sitting right next to you in a classroom can have completely different experiences. And that is what I really liked about Wharton. The other part, of course, was a very strong focus on finance. So right after I completed my GMAT, I worked with a counselor. And at the end of, after having received my admit, I think a couple of challenges that Sanjay asked about. One was, of course, just understanding how to put that entire USA plan into action after having secured the admit. And it definitely requires a lot of attention, particularly as an international student from a country like India. Just getting your visa right, making sure everything is within those timelines as provided by the university. You're checking off all the administrative stuff, across various checklists that the university provides. Even in my case, so much so as vaccines that the university requires you to get. So all of these things are tricky and can cause potential roadblocks, in your journey. So, I think I had to pay very close attention to navigating those. Another one was managing the financing of the MBA. One was, of course, making sure I spoke to a bunch of lenders in India and heard what their offerings were. but a lot of it also revolves around, whether to take financing in India versus the US, unsecured versus secured financing, and the various structures that these lenders offer. It can get complicated if you are not familiar with the terminologies. So I really did spend a lot of time around that as well. So I think those were the few challenges that I faced. I'll pass it on to Priyank to touch upon more.
Great. Thanks, Aditya. Thank you for doing that. And thank you for passing on the baton to Priyank as well. Before I hand over the screen to Priyank, let me do a brief introduction for him as well. I didn't introduce him in more detail. So Priyank brings 10 years of leadership experience in the financial services industry, especially with a focus on education loans funding. He spent time at Credila, Avance, Tata Capital, IDFC First Bank in the education loan divisions, and has a great understanding of the various pathways and opportunities available to students looking to fund their international education through loans. What I want to do next is, and of course, as I mentioned earlier, he's also the Chief Business Officer at EduMate, which is an organization which specializes in giving expert guidance and advice to candidates like yourself looking for funding opportunities or funding pathways for their higher studies outside of India. Priyank, I know you have prepared a short presentation for our attendees. It would be great if you can take them through that, and then I'll come to Meenal and we'll jump into Q&A from there as well. Before that, just a quick reminder to our audience, if you have questions for our panelists, please post them in the Q&A box. That way, I would be able to manage the questions more easily. You can also upvote questions asked by others. So go through the list of questions that would be asked, upvote those, and we would know which are the important questions to take up during the panel discussion. With that, over to you, Priyank.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you, Aditya, for giving us the journey of a student who's actually right over there, right, going through all the emotions and uh, uh, doing what it takes to be an international student. Anyway, not spending too much time. Let me share my screen. Let me know once that's visible to everybody.
We are able to see your screen.
Okay. So,
sorry, Priyank, it's gone off. It's gone off for me. I can't see it anymore. It had come on, but it went off.
Is it visible now?
Now it is.
Okay, great. So, while Sanjay has already covered what I've done, I've been fortunate enough to work with some of the marquee education loan players in India. Fortunate enough to work with a couple of them when the education loan was starting with them. So, very fortunate to have worked with some of them. Happy to have been able to, give my piece, give my contribution in journeys of some of the students over the years. And here we are at EduMate trying to make that impact, trying to make that difference in your life by giving you the right advice. That's the agenda for EduMate Global. Moving quickly, so of course we all understand different ways in which we can kind of fund our higher education. So apart from doing self-funding where your parents or yourself can fund your education, there are always opportunities available for employers to kind of sponsor your education. There is always the teaching and research assistantship that you get while you are studying in the US. There are a lot of saving schemes that your parents would have invested since your childhood, because education is a non-discretionary expense for Indians, and parents tend to save very well in advance. Also, scholarship is a very popular way of funding your education. But of course, education loan is one of the most efficient ways of funding for your higher education. Uh, sorry. Before I explain why am I saying education loan is one of the most efficient ways of funding your education, let me tell you what kind of expenses does it cover. A lot of us have this notion that education loan would typically only cover tuition fee, but to our surprise, the education loan can cover a gamut of expenses, which not only includes your tuition, but your living expense, your travel expense. In the Western world, health insurance is a very expensive affair. So all these expenses can get covered in your education loan. This is something while you are talking to your lender or you want us to help you in connecting with the lender of your choice, it's a very important thing to check with them, because when you are actually computing your cost of attendance, the amount tends to go on a very large scale. So important for you to know what all expenses is your lender covering. Um, Let us also talk about what are the different options available today for us to apply for an education loan. We always have the public sector banks, the like of State Bank of India's, the Bank of Baroda's, who help us with education loan, which of course come at a very low rate of interest. But of course, we understand that there always will be a trade-off. There's a longer processing time. Uh, Considering that we are in May, when you would want to ideally apply either for your I-20 or initiate your visa process, something that Meenal would be covering in her presentation. But maybe right now may not be the ideal time to opt in for a public sector bank. Had we been having this conversation for perhaps 2 months back or a month back, maybe a public bank would have been a good option. There are also options now available from private banks where the loan processing is relatively faster. The offerings are relatively more flexible. And of course, I think somewhere Aditya also spoke about in his journey about secured, unsecured loans. So yes, private banks also offer non-collateral unsecured loans. NBFCs are one of the most, I would say, the most student-friendly processes, very flexible in nature. A lot of them have digital journeys, right from their sourcing to getting your loan agreements signed. They also have the option where you can have multi-location covered. Let's take a scenario where you are working in Bangalore, your family is in, say, Dehradun. So all those multi-location combinations can be covered by NBFCs. And of course, they also offer you non-collateral unsecured loans. You also have the option of dollar loan companies today. Now, these are something which have mushroomed in the last few years, where typically they offer you loans without co-signers. Um, with the earlier three options, you always have to give a co-applicant, a co-signer to the loan, typically the parents. But with a dollar loan company, it is essentially your own credentials in terms of your academics, your university and the course that you are going into, which is the basis for them to underwrite your application. They have a very quick process. I think they have a 15 to 20-minute journey, which gives you an in-principle approval. Uh, Indicatively, they tell you that this is the quantum of loan amount that they can extend to you with a range-bound interest rate that can be offered. So these are the different options available today for you to opt in for an education loan. Having said that, let's quickly move as to why I mentioned that education loan is a much better, smarter alternative than self-funding. So when you are, of course, doing a self-funding, you are essentially depleting or eating into your savings, your own investments, vis-a-vis a loan where the payment is made by the lender, and you are essentially paying back to the lender over a period of 8 to 10 years that are given to you. Over the years, of course, I've realized that students who typically go to the States for their master's program in STEM or business, they typically tend to close their loans also in about 4 to 5 years, which includes 18 to 24 months of your study period plus another 2.5 years. So typically nobody, kind of keeps their loan active for a tenure of 8 to 10 years. But yeah, of course, the flexibility is given, is extended when you take the education loan of making the payments in future to the lender and not eating into your own savings. Um, education loan doesn't work on the typical way of EMI repayments during your study period. The idea is to ensure that you do what you're supposed to be doing, that is get your education completed and then start your EMI once you have got a job. So most of the lenders that we work with extend you about 6 months of grace after completion of your course period for you to settle into a job and then start paying your EMIs. During the initial period of your while your course is going on, a simple interest or a partial interest, and partial interest can be as low as 2,000, 3,000 rupees, is what is essentially charged to your parents, so that there is a habit of paying to the lender that is inculcated into you, and you essentially are paying in the future. So very flexible in terms of the repayment options. Also with dollar loan companies, what is also helping is that you are able to create an American credit history with some of them for you to eventually, apply for a mortgage or a auto loan or a credit card in the United States. So that's something which also kind of helps you in the bargain of opting in for an education loan. Also, since these are structured payments which are happening over a period of time, some of you may argue that you have the funds available, resources available for you to make payments today, maybe from family savings, maybe from your own savings. But there is also a opportunity cost at the end of it, which needs to be also evaluated before you opt in for an education loan or you decide to do a self-funding. Maybe the next 2 points that I cover will help you probably understand better how education loan commercially also makes a lot of sense to opt in for. So a lot of us are not aware about the income tax benefit that comes with education loan. So mostly all of us as Indian citizens, Indian taxpayers tend to pay taxes or save taxes using ATC, ATD, where you're investing in provident fund, your insurance premiums, some of us also on housing loan for us to save on our taxes. But there's also something called as ATE of the Indian Income Tax Act, which essentially says that whatever interest that you pay on your education loan is completely exempted from your taxable income. The beautiful part is that this can be extended to the student, but also to the parent and spouse of the student. Second beautiful part is that today it does not have an upper capping. So the limit that we use under ATC, ATD usually has an upper capping. ATE currently does not have an upper capping, which is a huge game changer when you apply for education loan. Also, back in 2022, the government of India introduced the liberalized remittance scheme, whereby they charge a tax collectible at source for all outward foreign remittances. Effective 1st April 2025, for the first 10 lakh rupees that you remit outside of India, there is no TCS or tax collectible at source. But the moment you cross the threshold of 10 lakh rupees in a given financial year, you have to pay TCS at the rate of 5%. While you opt in for an education loan, you are not expected to pay anything on TCS. Let me give you a numeric example. Let's take the example where you are remitting 30 lakh rupees in a given financial year without an education loan. So for the first 10 lakh rupees, you're essentially not paying any TCS, any tax to the government. But on the residual 20 lakh rupees at 5%, you are expected to pay a lakh to the government as tax. However, while you have opted in for an education loan, on the same 30 lakh rupees of outward foreign remittance, you're essentially not paying anything to the government as taxes. So these two combined, put together, makes a lot of savings, a lot of sense commercially as well to opt in for education loans. But mind you, not all lenders today qualify for both ATE and TCS benefit. So I would recommend that if you want to know more, you can connect with us. So what we do with people or with students like yourself is that we have a one-on-one session with all of you where we understand your profile in a much better way to help you evaluate the options with regards to what is the right fit lender for you, and then suggest or help you make applications with them. I will share the Calendly link for a one-on-one session with me in the chat window in a bit. So that is how education loan makes a lot of sense to us. Let me also go ahead and break down what education, how do lenders essentially look at the applications that come in. Essentially, it's a mix of 3 or 4 things. It is essentially looking at your profile. So when I say your profile, they're essentially looking at your past academics, the course that you intend to get into, the country of study, the university that you are getting into. Um, they're also looking at what kind of work experience, if any, that you have, the quality of work experience. They're looking at the linkage between the last course completed and the course that you want to go into now. They're also looking at your co-applicants in terms of their credit history, in terms of what is their banking behavior, banking habits, in terms of the repayment that they've been doing on the previous loans. Essentially, this helps the lender in curating or helps us in suggesting to the lender how to curate or structure your loan, which is very customized to yourself. So those are the typical assessment parameters that the lenders use. Some of the challenges that some of you who would have gone through their loan journeys, you would have seen that there's a lot of limited option or limited knowledge when it comes to understanding of loans, even for the lenders themselves. The executives, with due respect to them, only understand how to get your application logged into the system. Some of them may not have an answer to your queries, to your questions. Also, the documentation, I think there's such a chaos around the documentation, and people don't help you understand the documentation. While it's a very simple documentation requirement for most of us, we try to break it down to make it as simple as possible for you while we do those evaluations for you and help you complete the documentation, which would enable your lender to decision your case in a very simple and quick manner. Also, a lot of you complain that the interest rate charged by the lender is high. But when we deal with them, since we are dealing with them on a regular basis, and because of our partnership with them, we are able to give you better terms and conditions to your loan, extending beyond the interest rates. So I think with that, I will kind of paste the Calendly link to help you get on one-on-one session. Wherever you are in your journey with regards to your dream education, whether you have already applied for a loan, you are yet to apply for a loan, feel free to come and have a conversation with us. Who knows, the lender that you have chosen may not be the right fit for you, or even if they are the right fit for you, we will be transparent enough to tell you that this is the right fit. Go ahead and complete your application with them. With that, let me ask Sanjay to come back into the session, and thank you everybody, and I wish you all the very best in your journey.
Thank you, Priyank. Thank you for doing this and demystifying the entire education loan process. Very candidly, I didn't know about the TCS requirements and so on and so forth. And of course, the 80E benefit is a massive one. I took an education loan for my MBA as well. I studied at the Indian School of Business, ISB, and it was a huge perk, but I didn't know about the TCS benefit and no upper cap on the education loan interest payments that we do. That could be a huge saving itself if someone is in the 30% tax bracket. And if you are paying even 4 or 5 lakh rupees in interest during the year, that 30% is saving basically effectively. So that's a substantial amount that could be there. And of course, the benefit can be availed by their parents as well, especially for master's students who don't have income of their own, but going directly for master's after they undergraduate, their parents can reap these benefits as well. Thank you for doing that, Priyank. Now let me bring in Meenal. And of course, we have touched upon one big topic of this session, which is around funding. But the next big topic on this session is around visas as well, especially the F1 visa and in the potential pathways to working in the US post your studies. For that, let me bring in Meenal Damani. Meenal Damani runs Meenal Damani Education Consulting. She's an experienced consultant with over 15 years of global experience. She's worked in the investment banking and private equity industry across Singapore, UK, and US prior to get into application consulting or education consulting. And as I mentioned earlier, she's herself an MIT Sloan alumna. So she has gone through this whole journey herself, secured the right funding, got the opportunities post the program as well. So no one better to give you guidance on this particular aspect of your journey. With that, over to you, Meenal.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sanjay. I will share my screen as well. Please let me know if you can see it.
Loading.
Can you see?
Okay, it's
Yes,
still loading for me. I'm not sure if others are able to see this.
let me try again. It stays paused.
In the meanwhile, a quick reminder to our audience, do post your questions in the Q&A box. I know a lot of questions have been posted in the chat. It's very difficult to manage the questions if they're in the chat, so please post them in the Q&A box. And
Can you
Meenal,
see my screen now?
now we are able to see your presentation as well.
Can you see it's loading? It's in full screen mode?
It is visible now.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for a great introduction. Priyank, I in fact took a loan when I went to MIT Sloan, and believe me, it was a 100K loan because MIT Sloan is expensive, but it was worth every penny. I will do that again with a heartbeat if given the chance. And it was the right decision to take funding because I don't think I could have afforded that program right now. I didn't want to take it from my parents, and it worked out all great. So I do suggest taking a loan. It really helps in easing out the entire process. So getting into my chat now, thank you for having me here once again, and congratulations everyone. Very excited. It's this year will be one of your best years. There is a lot to do. It can get overwhelming, but if you do it the right way, I'm sure Aditya will agree with us that you can make a lot out of it. So I will touch upon a few things today. Let me get straight into F1 visas. So there are a few concerns regarding F1 visas right now. There is increased scrutiny at entry points. There have been some visa rejections. There have been mass visa revocations, but the severe records of these visas which were revoked have been reinstated. So whoever went to court of law asking them that why was their visa revoked, it has been reinstated, and now there has been a pause. There no other visas are being revoked currently, and they have become very strict with immigration and work authorization rules. So let's get into it. So first of all, when you are going for your F1 interview, what are the things you need to keep in your mind? Be very confident. Okay, do couple of mocks with your friends, with your family, with your counselors, and be prepared for this interview. Carry all your supporting documents. Right, I will have a list of the documents later, so please take a snapshot of it. Include your application material. Have your financial documents ready. Do not try and use bots to book your visa appointments, because right now, if you've been following the news, there have been mass rejections for anyone who's booked visa appointments using bots. So do it. It's an easy process. It's not very complicated. Do it yourself. Be very well prepared for your visa interview. The first thing you have to emphasize in your visa interview is that you want to come back to India. You have an intention to return, and you have strong ties with your country. You don't want to tell them that you want to immigrate, because they do not like that, and that could lead to visa rejection. Secondly, you should be able to clearly explain why did you choose that university and program. So you have to show to them that you are a right fit for the university and the program you have chosen. And you have to have a thorough knowledge of your application. So how you prepared for your interviews for your graduate school admissions, you have to do the same for your visa interviews. It can get technical as well, especially for people who are applying for analytics, who are applying for data science. Sometimes the interviews can get technical if they feel the need to ask you such questions. Some of the answers to avoid are mentioning that you applied only to one university. No one does that, right? You apply to a couple of universities, at least to 3 to 4 universities, and then you choose the best university. So don't say that, oh, I just applied to one university and I really want to go to that university because it's the best university. No. Carry the documents. If you applied to 5 to 6 universities, take your acceptance and rejection letters with you. Tell them that it was a thoughtful strategy. You went applied to 4 5 universities, you got accepted here, but you chose this one, and this is why you're going to this university. So you have to show that it is a very thought through decision. And please don't say that the chosen university is best. You can't say, for example, a university which is a tier 2 university, you can't say it's the best university. That is potentially a red flag. Why? Because they know it's not the best university. It shows that you're unprepared. So you have to show that it was the best university for you. It fits with your goals, it aligns with your goals, and it will be a great fit for you to come back to your chosen destination, which is India, to work here and ultimately get, uh, you know, reach your goals. And as I said, please don't say that you want to settle permanently in the US. It's a huge red flag. These are some of the interview questions. What motivates you? What brings you to the US to study? How many universities did you apply to? Why are you choosing this particular university? Why is this program a good fit for you? Very important one. Who will be sponsoring your education? So in this, the language you answer your question really matters. You can't say, oh, I will take an education loan. You are there getting your visa. You're trying to get your visa approved. So they want you to be thorough in your process. They want you to be prepared already. So you have to say, I have my visa approved. I have my education loan approved. Sorry. So they want to know that your sponsorship is already taken care of. They want to know that you know how you want to finance your education. So you can't say, I will take a loan. You have to say, I have taken a loan. Please remember that the way you portray your answers, the way you structure your answers can be a potential red flag. Again, what are your career plans? Who is sponsoring your education? And be prepared with your technical questions related to your program and thorough with your application documents. This is an essential documents checklist. You can take a screenshot if need be. It's easily available in most of the portals. And if you stick to this checklist, it's not complicated. Moving on, again, how do you maintain your F1 visa status? Why were the current F1 visas revoked for certain students? First, political activism. You're there to study. Please study, network. Don't participate in political demonstrations. Don't campaign. Refrain from all these activities. It could lead to problems with your F1 visa status. Second, maintain a clean online presence. Your social media accounts, unfortunately, nowadays are scanned through. So even at the point of entry nowadays, when you get into US, they skim your phones and they have a software in which they combine all your social media accounts and they can see your history. So keep your online presence quite clean and try not to support any controversies. Follow the employment rules. Under F1 visa, you're allowed to work part-time on campus 20 hours during semesters, and during breaks, you can work full-time. So follow these employment rules. Maintain your student status. You need certain number of credits, so stick to that. Do not enter your US 30 days prior your start program date. That is a visa restriction again. And if you're staying outside the US, do not stay for more than 5 months. So after you have completed your graduate studies, you get something called the OPT. Now there is a 12-month OPT, which is the standard OPT, which all students get. This OPT you get as soon as you graduate, and you have to find a job within 90 days. If you don't find a job within 90 days, unfortunately, you need to come back. You do not need a job offer to be in the US for these 90 days. After 12 months, if you have a STEM OPT extension available, which means if your program was STEM certified, you can get an extension of 2 years. And for this, you will need employer to you will need an employer to say that you're employed with them, and then only you can get the 2-year extension. And the employer should meet the US CIS criteria, and a lot of startups do it now. Now, coming on to what to expect during your master's and how you can make the most of it. There are lots and lots of resources available to international students. The first is your international student office, which will help you with any visa queries, any cultural problems you are having, and generally how to navigate university life. Second is your academic support center, which helps you with your course selection, selecting your thesis, any skills you want to build. Third is the fun one, which are your student clubs and cultural organizations. They're a great way to network, to meet people, and meet the broader cohort. So you have your individual programs, but say, for example, you're going for masters in finance, you want to hang with the MBA students, it's a great way to do that. You also have your career services office, which will help you find internships, job searches, prepare you for interviews, and guide you how to work on your resumes and cover letters. You also have your housing and accommodation services, which help students with finding accommodation both on and off campus. You have buddy programs like Imperial has it, in which they connect you to with the senior, and then the senior will help you navigate the journey. And then it can, as I said earlier, it can get a bit challenging. So there are mental health services available. It's a taboo in India to use this service, but outside when you go, you'll realize like students use this freely. They avail these therapy sessions and it works for them. So, if you do feel homesick, use these services. Now, how do you make the most of your masters? It can get a bit challenging because there's a lot to balance, right? You have your academics, you have to find a job, you have your research, internships, networking. So how do you balance it all? First thing, academics are the most important. At the end of the day, especially if you're doing a non-MBA program, if you're doing any other masters, they will want to see what is your GPA at during interviews when you're going for your industry interviews. So definitely prioritize your academics. Choose a light workload. Don't choose like the toughest of the subjects. Balance your workload. Do industry relevant projects which help you build industry connections, and cross register for courses. So a lot of universities have this option that where you can cross register for a course in the same university in a different school or even across universities. So like HBS allows you to cross register with courses at MIT Sloan. Research opportunities are there. There are plenty of them available. You have to be proactive. You have to make the most of it, and you have to take the initiative. You have RATA opportunities available, which can give you a bit of pocket money as well as help you upskill. When you speak to professors and you seek mentors, you'll find a lot of these opportunities. You can work on your personal projects, and as I said, there are lots of opportunities like academic writing centers which you can utilize. Coming to the extracurricular, there are a couple of extracurricular activities available. You have industry-related clubs, you have career-focused clubs, you have cultural organizations, you have hobby and passion clubs, and there are an abundance of them. There are over like 50, 60 clubs, at least in every university. You have to join them and make the most of them. This helps you network and meet the broader community as well as make industry connections. So definitely take on leadership roles. It not only helps you build skill, it also strengthens your profile. Participate in cultural exchanges, in big in these community initiatives they do, where you can meet people from different geographies to celebrate diversity. Some clubs, this is an interesting one, some clubs offer you a different pathway. Like the investment management club in a lot of universities allows you to meet with global leaders like Warren Buffett. He's not the CEO anymore, but back in the day you could meet them. So if you have any find out prior that what are these different unique opportunities and what are these like hackathons or some industry visit, like some clubs that take you to Google campus. So seize those unique opportunities and be prepared in advance. Know what opportunities are there. Don't try and hunt once you are there. Just do some research before you get there. How can you enhance your study abroad experience? First, do not miss the orientation programs. Go early, because then you will get used to the campus life. You will meet a few people, engage in the residential life. Again, you will participate in these residence activities, and then you can meet people from different programs. definitely participate in campus traditions. All these US universities have these great campus traditions. It could be the Big Pie Day, it could be a pancake day. So participate in those. Network across campuses as well. A lot of US universities give you the opportunity to network with other colleges and other universities. Do that. Try and cultivate a diverse friends group, because at the end of the day, today's friends are tomorrow's industry leaders. To try and meet people from different nationalities. And one more important thing, think about once you graduate, how will you stay connected as an alumni? A lot of us forget that. And then once we graduate, we don't know how to stay in touch with our alma maters. So think about how you can stay connected as an alumni. And I've already touched upon this, that network as much as you can. And just summing it up all now, start early, engage with your professors, look beyond academics, get involved in on extracurriculars. Please keep your LinkedIn profiles updated. A lot of the hiring, 80% of it happens through networking. And it's networking is just not about accumulating contacts, collecting contacts. It's about nurturing them. So keep those bonds going. So yeah, that's for me.
Thanks, Meenal. Thank you for doing this. This has been extremely insightful. So all three of you, Aditya, of course, you spoke about your journey and the challenges through that. Priyank, the whole education loan process, how to secure that and why to secure, take a loan. And Meenal, of course, the visa process and what things to keep in mind as a student looking to study in the US. So this has been extremely insightful. I know there are a lot of questions that have come in. I already see 11 questions in the Q&A box, plus a few more in the chat as well. I will come to the audience question very shortly, but before I do that, I'm going to launch my second poll for the evening. The poll is going to be live for the next few minutes, so you can respond. Our audience can respond. In the meanwhile, I am going to continue asking questions on your behalf. I'm also going to repost Priyank's Calendly link in the chat. So if those of you who are looking to book time slot with Priyank to get guidance on your funding requirements, please do reach out. Please do book a slot with him, and I'm sure he would be happy to answer your questions. With that, let me jump into the questions from the audience. And the first question which I want to take up, this is, I think, Meenal, since you touched upon this, I'm going to come to you. This is a question from Uruj Fatima. Her question is, do universities offer graduate assistant programs from second semester onwards itself? From what I have understood in this sense, usually the students need to have studied in the US for at least 2 semesters before they can get a graduate assistantship or work part-time to the CPT route. But you are a better expert in this. So if you have any insights on this.
You are exactly right, Sanjay. Your CPT starts 1 year after you are there in the US. So that's why the research assistantship or the graduate assistantship cannot start in the first semester. After the first semester, it has to start after 2 semesters.
Okay. So Ruch, do keep in mind, also having spent over a decade plus in the higher education industry as well, my personal advice to candidates like you is always have enough funding available through other sources. What you earn as a student, right? Whether it's through part-time work opportunities on or outside of campus or graduate assistantships or any such opportunities, these can be used to cover your living expenses for certain months when you're working, but don't be dependent on these to fund your programs. We have in the past seen many students plan their funding thinking that, hey, I'm going to get part-time work and use that to fund my studies. But many times with the full course load, coursework, to work part-time to earn enough, right? And max, even when you can work part-time, it could be maximum 20 hours in a week. Through that, usually the money is not enough to fund your studies plus your living expenses. So always be prepared through other sources. And of course, if you get a great opportunity to work part-time, that can help subsidize your studies, but don't be dependent on this route because it's not a guaranteed route of funding. Would that be fair advice, Aditya, Priyank, Meenal?
Definitely, times are uncertain, so you should have a funding in place before you decide.
All right.
Just to add, Sanjay, it makes absolute sense for you to ensure that the funding is available to you, especially with what Meenal said in this uncertain times. Also, the way I would like to highlight the way education loans work is that you sanction a loan, right? Let's say you are sanctioning 85 lakh rupees loan. The utilization is completely dependent or is completely your discretion, right? So no lender will come back and say that since you have utilized only a fraction of the loan amount, you need to pay us non-utilization charges. There are no legal or moral obligation for you to utilize the entire amount of 85 lakh rupees or whatever the loan amount is. If you are fortunate enough to get some research assistantship, teaching assistantship in the States while you are studying, you may choose not to use the entire amount, but it acts as a safety net to ensure that, in case nothing else is available for you, the loan is still available and you can complete your education. You need not stop your education only because the funds were not available.
Makes sense. Thanks, Priyank. Thanks for that additional insight, and absolutely makes sense to have a safety net at the back. Meenal, I'm going to take a follow-on question from Oruj because it's a continuation of our previous question. It is about what if the program is of only 2 semesters? Basically, it's a 1-year program. In that scenario, still she can't work when she's completed the whole program. Would that be correct?
Yes, you're right. It's not possible.
All right. Great. Let me take Nena's question, and this is around scholarships. So I will touch upon it from Seed's point, but Aditya, Priyanka, and Meenal, I want to bring you in as well. How do students find and apply for the right scholarships as international students, right? Loan is, yes, great, but there's of course an interest component on that. Scholarships is practically free money from the university or any other source. So if you know of any sources of scholarships that the students can apply to, Aditya, do you want to start first? Do you want to talk about if Wharton has any special scholarships that students can target?
Sure. So typically, the university mentions on its website whether it provides merit-based scholarships or need-based scholarships or both. And they also generally publish a certain number, which is the average aid provided to an admitted applicant. The other component that is very helpful to know is a lot of Indian trusts and foundations offer fellowships to deserving candidates. And there are about 20 of them that you can find online very easily by very credible organizations like the Tata Trusts, the Mahindra Group, the Aditya Birla Group, that you can apply to. And if deserving, they will provide you with scholarships. So that is another angle to explore while looking for sources to fund your MBA or master's program.
Special scholarships from external organizations like Tata Trust, Narotam Sekhsaria Foundation, the Mahindra Trusts, and so on and so forth. Meenal, any other sources of scholarships or funding?
Funding is definitely loans or Federal Credit Union loans. If you're going to, like, say, a university like Harvard or MIT, then they have their own banks where you can get a loan. But otherwise, I think, Sanjay, you should mention the Seed Scholarship also because they are great.
I didn't want to do our own plugin first, but those of you who don't know about this, at Seed, as I mentioned, we work with some of the top universities from around the world. Again, I'm going to reiterate Berkeley, Columbia, Cornell, NYU, Imperial, INSEAD, Oxford, you name it, right, across North America, Europe, and Asia. We also run a special scholarships fund, which has commitments from these universities. What they do is they carve out a certain amount or number of scholarships from their scholarships fund and commit that to the Seed Scholarships Fund. So only candidates who are applying to those scholarships on our website are considered for these exclusive scholarships. Last year, this fund was around $4 million. And for the coming year, that is for the 2026 intakes, we have already got commitments of over $5.5 million. So huge amount of funding available over there. There are some universities and institutions which also give as high as 100% scholarships to the Seed Scholarships Fund. But if you look at the median 80% range, these lie between 25% of tuition fee going as high as 75% of the tuition fees. So some, of course, going higher than 75%, but the median 80% range is between 25 to 75% of the tuition fee. So that's, again, one option to look at through the Seed Scholarships Fund. Okay, I want to go ahead and, of course, a lot of people are requesting for the recording of this session. So that tells me that this session is giving them insights which is relevant. Aditya, Arushi, yes, the recording of this session is going to be available by tomorrow on Seed's YouTube channel. So if you want to go find our other videos, you can do that today. But by tomorrow, it would be available over there. What we'll do is also send you a WhatsApp message tomorrow from Seed Global Education with the link to the recording of this session, and you can surely check it out over there as well. I want to take up the next question. This has come up from Ritika, which is about by when should a student have completed their visa process and blocked their housing? She applied late for her I-20 and will receive it in the next month or so. And consequently, she's going to be a little late in booking the visa slots as well. So if someone's targeting the fall 2025 start, which is basically August or early September start, when is the latest that they can apply for their I-20 and get it and still get a visa slot for interview this year? Meenal, any insights on this?
So a lot depends on the visa slot availability. Right now, currently, as we speak, there are lots of visa slots available. But 2 weeks ago, there were hardly any visa slots available. So it is uncertain. It depends on the visa slot availability. You can't book a visa appointment unless you have your I-20. You need your I-20 to book a visa slot. So it depends at that time if there are visa slots available or not. And the visa also, you need 2 slots. Once you need for the biometric and the other is the interview slot. So it depends on availability of both the slots.
Sure. So thank you, Meenal, for that. And some insights that we have been hearing from the universities we work with at Seed. And what they're suggesting is, of course, you're the US embassies around the world open up more slots for the student visas as they get, as the time comes. So during May, June, July. So as Meenal mentioned, till 2 weeks ago, there were not many slots available. Now suddenly there are more slots available. That's because the embassies keep opening up more slots to fulfill the student demand for students who are looking to go for fall 2025. So keep an eye out for those opening of new slots. The other thing which a lot of universities are recommending and telling us to recommend to students like yourself is that when you get your I-20, don't wait for an immediate slot to open up. Book the next earliest available slot. That may also be after your program start date. So let's say your program start date is in August and the earliest slot you see is November. Still go ahead and book that slot. And then you have at least one option to reschedule. So once you have booked a slot, if you see a slot open up closer to the date, reschedule and get that earlier slot. If not, you can reach out to the embassy with your admission documents, with the I-20. You can also request, some universities are also issuing letters which are addressed to the embassy. You can use those, write to the embassy saying that you have got an admit for fall 2025. The program starts in middle of August and you need to be there for commencement. And if they can accommodate you in an earlier slot because you're not able to find any earlier slot before August, before your program start date. In that case, sometimes the embassies are also proactively giving a date or a possible slot to the students so that they can get their visas in
And
time.
Sanjay, just to add
Sure.
to that, even the universities are very helpful. So if you're waiting on your I-20, you can always write to the university and request them to expedite the process.
Of course. See, from the university side, they have given you an admit. Most likely, they've also given you some scholarship. They want to see you come into the class this year. That's their goal as well. So most universities, and of course, I would say at least all the ones that we have worked with and experienced, their teams are extremely, extremely helpful. If you reach out to them with any such issue, they try to do their best to help you out in the situation as well. All right. Let me take up some more questions. And this is a question from Arushi. And again, I think, Meenal, you touched upon this. This was around the help one can expect from the school in terms of meeting the visa and financing requirements. So Arushi, we touched upon this. Meenal touched upon this in the presentation. We addressed this as well. So visa requirements, of course, the school would do its best to help you with that. In terms of financing requirements, most universities, unlike the likes of Harvard and MIT, don't have their own funding arms, so they can't give you loans from their end. But scholarships is, of course, an option which universities can give out. I know this year, universities have been, especially US universities, have been extremely generous with giving good scholarships, given the uncertainty and turmoil that the markets have gone through over the last few months. In case, if you're still looking for funding, if you've got an admit, you can always write to the university requesting for additional funding. Many universities, if there's some budget opened up at the last minute, let's say they're giving out funding and some students didn't accept the offer, may have some funding come back into their pool. So they are usually happy giving out some additional funds at the last minute as well if you're a genuine student and a genuine aspirant for that university or that program. So reach out to the university and say if they can reconsider you for some additional funding. You never know, you may end up getting some additional $1,000, which never hurts. Okay. The next question I want to take up is from Gloria. We have been talking a lot around masters and career prospects post masters as well. Gloria is looking for undergraduate engineering programs in the US, and she's asking about the range of tuition fees. So Priyank, you may have some estimate on this, how much an undergraduate engineering program in the US may cost, and if there are scholarships available for undergraduate programs as well.
So, undergraduate education in the US, the cost of attendance would typically range between about $2,500 to about $3,500, depending on the university, the program that you intend to go for. And talking from a funding perspective, the quantum of these exposures in terms of loans can be extended by a lot of lenders. But that's a range bound between $2,500 going up to $3,500 is what you should be budgeting for at an undergraduate level for a 4-year program.
Sorry, $2,500, Priyank? Oh, I missed that.
Sorry.
I think
Could
he
you- could
means
you-
200,000 and 3.
$200,000 to $250,000.
Yeah.
Is the range to look at. Okay. And Priyank, does EduMate help students with undergraduate loans as well, or loans for undergraduate studies in the US?
Absolutely, Sanjay. So we help in the entire higher education spectrum, going all the way from undergraduate education to postgraduate education. Also, if eventually somebody wants to do an executive program, there are enough funding options that we will be able to suggest to students.
Thanks for that, Priyank. So just a quick reminder to everyone, I have posted Priyank's Calendly link in the chat. So if you're looking to book a slot with him, you can do that through the Calendly link. Meenal, if you have a Calendly link, or if you have a way through which interested students can or candidates can reach out to you for guidance about their application or any related queries, would you be able to share your email address or a Calendly link in the chat?
Yes, I will share my email ID right away.
Perfect.
And I can be found easily on LinkedIn, so anyone can reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. Otherwise, I put my email ID.
Okay. I am going to repost Meenal's email address in the chat. She shared it with the hosts and panelists. I'm going to just add it on as well in the chat. Also, Meenal, I saw a few requests asking for your presentation. So the slides that you showed, those were interesting. Would you be able to share that with us so that we can share it further with them?
Definitely, definitely.
All right, great. A quick reminder to all of you, of course, we'll share the slide deck, but you can also find a recording of this session on our YouTube channel, so you can always go and watch it. It's going to be available by tomorrow afternoon, so you can always go and check it out over there as well. Let me take up Sangeet's question, and he's asked 2 questions. I think the second one we have already answered, but let me take up his first question. He's been asked to upload his immunization documents. He's not sure about providing them, given that they weren't in digitized form and he was immunized as a child, possibly. So documents from 30 years ago are obviously not very clear, and those were paper documents. What should he do to provide the correct immunization documents for his visa application or study requirements?
Aditya, do you want to take it, since you must have just done it?
Sure. So of course, this requirement varies from school to school. But as far as I was concerned, I think I was fine by uploading the dates of the various vaccines that I had taken as certified by a legitimate medical practitioner in India. So as long as you do that and self-certify, you are fine. If you feel that there is some vaccine you may not have taken, then it is advisable to take it before you leave, so that you are covered from a health perspective more than even a compliance perspective. And these may include the influenza vaccine or something like that. But the short answer is as long as your medical practitioner certifies the form provided to you for vaccination, you should be fine.
Thanks, Aditya. Thanks for that. Sangeet, your second question was what all to keep in mind while applying for a visa considering the current tumultuous times. So as Meenal covered in her presentation, of course, she's given certain checklist of things not to do as a student over there on an F1 visa. So of course, refer to the recording of this session or we'll share the presentation with you as well. All right. I do see, Priyank, this is a question for you. In your presentation, you did cover about what all an education loan can cover. Aditya's point is that not all banks cover living and other associated costs under the education loans. In this scenario, what should a candidate do?
So most of the players, most of the private players, Aditya, they are able to cover a gamut of expenses beyond tuition fee. But I think this is a very specific question to your experience with perhaps a lender. I would suggest that if we can connect on the Calendly link which has been shared by Sanjay on the chat window, maybe we could take this offline, understand what was your experience, which lender was this, and perhaps then come up with a solution to help you, cover all your expenses beyond tuition fee as well.
Great. Thanks, Priyank. Thanks for that. And I want to take up a few questions, and this is from Sangeet. And this is about continuing as a PhD student. So after completing their master's, let's say, as Sangeet continues into a PhD program, does that get considered as a job under OPT, or would he continue on a F1 visa post that?
You will need an F1 visa to continue on PhD.
All right, Sangeet, that's your answer. And let me take up a few. Okay, this is interesting. And this is Nena's question. And there can be two different implications of this question. Her question is, what are some common mistakes students make during the application process? So this could be for, of course, application for admission into a program. It could be from a viewpoint of application for their visa. So Meenal, given the expert that you are in the space, you want to start with the common mistakes that people make during the application process for admission to programs, and then we'll come to the visa process as well.
I think the biggest application mistake I see is applying for the wrong program. You have to be quite sure why you are applying for that program. Is it the right program for you? Are you a good fit for the program? Does your past experience align with that program? And does that program align with your career aspirations? So this is the biggest mistake I see students make while choosing and applying for a master's.
Interesting. At that point, I'm going to do a plugin for Seed as well. So at Seed, we run a complimentary student advising service. This is not an application helpline. We don't help you in making your resume or essays or SOPs, LORs for the universities. We just advise on the right programs for you, given the variety of institutions that we work with across the world, and of course, a lot of top US ones as well. If you're confused about which university to go to, which program, have certain preferences or constraints, you can reach out to our advising team. Again, the Calendly link to block a slot is available on our website as well. You can go there, block a slot with an expert advisor to get guidance on which program, which university would be the best fit for you. Where's the one you can get the best amount of scholarships. We also have application fee waivers for some of those universities. So if you're looking for any of those benefits, you can reach out to our advising team for complimentary advising on program choices, not for making the application. For that, you need to go to an expert like Meenal. Coming to the common mistakes in the visa process, Meenal, if you want to touch upon that.
I think in visa process, as I said, the first is the source of funds. I think I did see a question here about sponsorship. So you need to say that if someone is sponsoring you, how are they sponsoring you? Why are they sponsoring you? It should be a blood relation. It has to be like a close relation. Secondly, your visa fund, your loan funding has to be approved before you go for your visa appointment. You cannot say, I will take a loan. The loan you have to have the funds in your account, or you have to have the loan sanction letter. And again, the biggest one, saying that I want to go to US for good. They don't want immigrant students, so you have to say that you are coming back to India to work, and this you are going to US to build skills, upskill yourself, become more employable, but in India. So if you're going there for the education.
Since Meenal spoke about sanction letter education loan, let me also perhaps touch upon a topic. So sanction letters from most of the lenders in India are very much valid with the American consulate. But you need to be mindful with whomsoever you are working, be it directly with a bank or directly with some other players who are helping you, like EduMate, to get your loan. They would also try to pitch you something like a pre-visa disbursements. So essentially, the funds come into your account even before the visas come in. Now, that's not a requirement as per the embassy. The US embassy is very clear about usage of sanction letters. So please be mindful of whether there is an actual requirement of taking that disbursement of your education loan even before a visa has been granted or not. Essentially, the difference is that your interest, you start paying interest the moment the money has come into your account. So even in June, July, when you are applying for your visa, the funds are lying in your account, your obligation to pay interest to your lenders start. So please be very mindful about, whether you actually require that money or you are good with a sanction letter.
Great. Thank you, Meenal, and thank you, Priyank, for those insights. I do have a couple of questions since I spoke about scholarships. I do see 4 or 5 questions coming specifically about scholarships. What I've done is to make it easier, I have posted a link to the seed scholarships in the chat. Let me give you clarity, or let me tell you upfront that the scholarships or applications for fall 2025 for these scholarships are now closed. These are school committed awards, so schools have already given out most of those awards. Some schools have not yet announced their decisions, but majority have already given those. So you can't apply for the scholarships right now for fall 2025. It's already done. But if you're looking at 2026, either fall, spring, summer 2026, then you can express interest in these scholarships. The applications for these scholarships would open from July onwards, early July onwards. So you can, of course, come back and submit. We'll send you an update that the scholarships are open and you can apply for them at that time. So Hifsa, I think this gives you some address as well. And Uruj, even the criteria for these scholarships is mentioned on the scholarships page. Let me also tell you that the scholarships that you'll see listed on this page would be around 15, 20. These are the school committed scholarships. Besides these school committed scholarships, all the universities that come with us for our events in India, India, Middle East, or Africa, we also give out certain scholarships from our end. These are usually $5,000 awards. These are called either the Seed Golden Ticket or the Seed Business Leadership or STEM Leadership Awards. These are currently not listed on the website because they are already over for fall 2025. But once we open the applications for 2026, you'll see them listed as well. So if you don't find your dream university having special scholarships with us, you can still apply for the scholarships that we have available. And these cover over 70 plus additional universities compared to the 20 odd that you see listed on the website right now. All right, so Benjamin, Grishma, that answers your question. These answer your question. Let me take up some other, I know we are over time, we are 15 minutes, but I still see 31 people in this room. So I understand we are addressing something which is relevant to more people. Let me take up 1 or 2 more questions before we wrap up. Priyank, this question comes to you, is about maintaining a bank statement prior to applying for the visa. So what kind of funds in the bank statement can be relevant when they're submitting their visa application?
So while you're showing your finances for visa, there are essentially multiple ways of showcasing your finances. One is, of course, through your own savings. You can show your liquid funds in your bank statement. You could show fixed deposits that you have. You could also show sanction letters from lenders in India. I think essentially, and Meenal could add, essentially you are looking at showing the first year equivalent funds and liquid funds, which is essentially your bank statements, your mutual fund statements, your fixed deposits, or a sanction letter from a bank. And second year is second year expenses, essentially where you can show your immovable properties and other forms to showcase that you have enough money available for sustaining yourself in the United States. Meenal, I hope I got that right.
You did get it right. So then the visa process, just to tell you that the first step is that when you have to apply for an I-20, you have to give a financial declaration form that how you will be sponsoring your education. This is when the university asks for your financial documents. And as you said, you can show your bank statements, your liquid funds, your FDs, or any, if you already have some pre-approved loans, and if you have a scholarship. And then the I-20 comes with saying that, okay, this is how they're planning to fund it. And that's when in your visa interview, you have to go with the same funds and the same documents to show that this is my proof of funds.
Great. Thanks, Priyank. Thanks, Meenal. I do see some questions come in about still applying for the fall 2025 intake. This is a question which is especially asked by Sidra, who's graduating, whose final year results are coming out in June, and Uruj as well. So let me give you my perspective on this, given the variety of universities we work with. I know for a fact that a fair number of universities in the US are still accepting applications for fall 2025. This is usually not the case. We know this year has been a little tumultuous, but there are a fair number of universities and decent universities that are accepting applications. Most of the final deadlines for these universities are around 31st of May or 1st of June. So basically 10 to 12 days from now. So if you're still looking to apply for the 2025 intake, maybe connect with us. We can send you the list of universities which are still accepting applications for 2025, and maybe you can consider applying to them. I also know that some of them are still willing to give out decent scholarships ranging as high as $35,000. So again, reach out to our team and we can tell you about these programs and universities. Two things to keep in mind, right? And those of you who are a little confused about, hey, shall I even go to the US this year? It's been politically tumultuous. There have been a lot of policy decision or messaging which is coming out. What I want to put it out over here is that so far, there's been no change in the policy. There's been a lot of rhetoric. There's been a lot of messaging, which could be political messaging, but actual policy has not changed at all. So you can't base your decision just on news. You need to look at the facts, and those have not changed so far. Also, a thing to keep in mind is that today's situation doesn't reflect the future. So if 2025 news has been up and down, that doesn't mean by the time you graduate in 2027, most likely, or even in 2026, the scenario may have changed completely by then. Same way, think about students who went in 2024 or 2023. Those were really hot markets. The tech boom was happening. There was so much hiring happening, all of that happening. At that time, they couldn't have predicted that 2025 would be so tumultuous, right? So sitting today, you can't tell how the markets or how the job market would be 1 or 2 years down the line. Down the line, things change very fast in this market. Today's hot market, your booming market, can go into a deflationary market 1 or 2 years down, or a couple of months down the line as well. So don't base your decision on that. That's my personal advice. And of course, if you're looking at more specialized advice on making your application, do reach out to Meenal. She's the expert on that. I did see some people asking about that special guidance. So as I said, reach out to Meenal for that. If you're looking at specialized guidance around funding, expert advice on what options to look at, do reach out to Priyank. He's the expert over here and he can give you the right advice. And if you're looking at advice on what programs to pursue, which schools are still admitting candidates for 2025, what are the scholarships available by them, all of those, then reach out to us at Seed Global Education. Sidra, I know you have asked for contact details. You can send, if you check out our website, you'll find the details over there. If not, I am going to post our email address as well. It is info@seedglobaleducation.com. You can always send us your profile with your questions, and one of our experts would reach out to you and answer any questions that you may have, for us. With that, I want to take your permission to wrap up this session. It's interesting to see that almost 70% of the peak audience are still in this room. That gives me a message that we have been answering some questions which have been really relevant to our audience. So I want to thank all our panelists for doing this session. So thank you, Priyank, Meenal, Aditya, for doing this, taking out the time from your busy schedules to answer the questions that our candidates have. And I also want to thank our audience for being so patient with us. We did go over time. But I hope this has been useful and you have found this session productive and useful in your further journey. So thank you everyone once again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Have
Thank
a
you for
great
having
rest
us.
of the
Thanks.
evening and the rest of the day for you.
Thanks. Thanks.
Thank you.